This is Scott Harney from Psychics.nyc, and we are live at the Caravan of Dreams with Alan Steinfeld.
Then the Seth speaks.
He spoke. Okay, go ahead. We're ready there.
Yeah, so I'd like to welcome everyone today to this first, hopefully many Psychic Salon this year. And we're going to hear from Alan Steinfeld, who's going to talk about integrating alien sort of UFO contact through a psychic reading. And we have four great psychics today. We have Dewey, the Witch of Times Square. We have Laurie Perrone, who's she's the Oracle of Brooklyn, and also Laurie with the story. And the great Kyler James, who is the Wizard of Washington Square Park.
I did not bring my wizard's hat today.
That's okay. And of course, Alan's also going to do readings too. So
I'm going to do some readings, yeah. But thank you all for coming. We got Ed Edwards there, who's one of the great healers. Maybe we'll do some demonstration. We have Miriam Novell, the tea lady. We have Diane Williams from the UN. Michael Jazz from, where are you from again? Nonviolent Communication Organization. James Carmen, filmmaker. Anyway, we have a good crew here. What? James Carmen, filmmaker. Yes, that's looking for funding if you need it. So we're at a really critical time in human history. Are you aware that we're about to shift into this other level of awakening? Like the UFOs, whatever they are at our doorstep. You know about the New Jersey drones. You know about like the movies that are coming out. I'm going to show you some clips from them. But we're at a turning point in history. You know, the chaos in the government, the international politics. It's all collapsing, for good or for bad. But we are coming into a new time that is not like anything that's come before. And because, yes?
Do you want to turn that off? It's making a lot of noise.
Oh, let me turn that off. Thank you. Hate to be. Sometimes you just have to pull the plug on things. I think that's what's happening. The plug is being pulled on a lot of things. And whether we like it or not, we are being catapulted into a new time, a new destiny, a new human destiny. These are times when new experiences, there he is, the guy we've been waiting for. Biographer of William James.
His birthday is today.
His birthday, that's why we're doing this thing. You know who William James is? He was the leading American psychologist who was also very much into psychic phenomena. He started the U.S. Psychical Society. Oh, and if you want to order food while we're talking, that's fine, because this lovely waitress here is going to take orders. So this is kind of a gathering. We're going to start these maybe monthly. I actually want to show some films here, some really good films. One called The Age of Disclosure, which is about the government coming forward. So right now we're in this situation here with this picture. I'm sure you've seen this woodcut from Switzerland in the 1700s. This guy's sticking his head out of one reality into another reality. That's what's happening. That's why I wrote this book. Has everyone seen this book? Making Contact. This is an overview of the phenomena. This is what's really going on. What we can say about the phenomena is this. Something unknown is doing we don't know what. That's really how you could sum this up, because there's the government side. So I break it down to three components. There's the government. There's the offense, the defense, and the spectators, except we're not spectators. So the offense is the phenomena. That's what's offending us. The defense is the Defense Department. I think I'll start there. They don't want us to know what the truth is. Maybe because they think we can't handle the truth. This is what the common theme. Maybe it's for national security reasons, which I doubt. Or maybe they don't know what's happening. I think that's the case. They don't know how to explain what's going on in our skies. How can you defend $1 trillion defense budget when you're defenseless? I mean, that's really the big concern. And whatever's coming here is not filling up their gas tanks to get here from wherever they're coming from. So there's another technology, right? I don't think they are. It's a big gas tank instead they are. Whatever they are has another technology that someone in the know don't want the rest of us to have. if you had this little outlet in your apartment, you just plug all your electrical devices in, you could run your car on. Imagine if you didn't need, I don't think they're fossil fuel anymore, there wasn't need to dig up the earth and drench it of its blood. That's, I think the oil is the blood of the earth. I don't think it's made from fossils, decaying fossils. I think that's just an excuse because they didn't know how to explain it. But maybe it was. So anyway, there's a lot of, this is a complex issue. This is not like, oh, guess what, honey, we have company. You know, it's like, there's something else going on that is actually shifting our consciousness. It's really about shifting how we think about reality. I think that's really the bottom line here. Because when you see these, how many people have seen something in the sky? There, Diane has. And you have, Marianne? Do you want to tell people what you saw, Diane?
Sure.
It's a good story.
This past May, I live by the UN, so I live over the East River, and I can see the East River from my apartment. And I was just sitting in my bed and on my computer, and then I heard, go to the sofa and look outside. So I did that. I went to the sofa, I looked outside, and there was 4 crafts outside, right above the East River in Queens. It was not anything to do with LaGuardia or Kennedy Airport. And they were making different formations, like triangular formations, and it was just very beautiful. And it went on for a long time, and I felt like just this loving energy.
Felt a good feeling.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
What did the crafts look like?
They look like I have videos, but they look like regular, like almost like light orbs, like plasma orbs almost in the sky.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is not just, everyone thinks it's just US based. No, this is a worldwide activity. But for the US, all the things in blue are counties where there have been UFO sightings, which is most of the counties in the US. There are some hotspots like Sedona, like southern Florida, like Maine. There are some hotspots, but the last 20 years, this has been 600 reports of UFOs. That's just the people who report. I've seen UFOs. I've never reported any, so I would say out of that many is probably 100 times the amount of people who've seen them. And then there's also the interactions with them. So there's a lot going on here. Let me see if this will play. I think this is there's a little video of some of this is a typical UFO crab, kind of fuzzy sometimes. It could be anything, but let me just fast forward this. Then we get these like orbs or drone type things. We get that we get these things. This was seen over in New Jersey, these kind of orb. This one is from the Phoenix Lights, 1967. And we get these orbs that separate, or things that...
Extremely quiet. It's definitely not an airplane or a helicopter. I don't know what that was.
For decades, UFO witnesses were laughed at. They're just told that they can't talk about it, we don't want to hear about it, maybe you're a little crazy if you even saw it.
You know, whatever that is, that's huge.
But we're at a place right now where we are beginning to realize how strange it is and how little we really understand. Imagine if it was acknowledged officially that UFOs exist. That would be a big paradigm shift.
Yes, it would. That's Leslie Keene, one of the early reporters on the phenomena, who was the first to write an article, first headlines of the New York Times 2017, that there was government activity, government interest in this. So I like this quote by Terence McKenna. It says, "We're part of a symbiotic relationship with something that disguises itself as extraterrestrials as to not to alarm us," which I think is so funny. That means like we think there's something there just because that's something we can put into a box. But maybe that's not what's really going on. Maybe what's really going on is something beyond comprehension, which is what I think. You know, we're like little ants, and like, you know, suddenly you see a shadow and then you don't see the big person. We're like little ants crawling on little ant holes with our little supplies from the day, you know, but there's a bigger picture. I'm talking to you, man. There's a bigger picture going on here. No, there's something much bigger. We are part of a cosmos that can't be explained in these petty little human terms. I mean, it's true. What's going on here? Well, I've divided it, like I said, into three compartments: the defense, the offense, and the spectators. That's us. So, as far as the defense, this is what, this is a little clip from a Stephen Greer thing. This is what we know.
How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight.
July 8, 1947. The flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
The flying disc has been found, and that was in the headlines of, that was in, of course, Roswell, the famous Roswell crash, 1947. The next day, Roswell came out, the paper said, no, it was just a weather balloon. Go back to what you were doing, people. Nothing here to see. And you know, that reminds me of my favorite quote by Mark Twain. He said, it's easier to lie to the people than to convince them they've been lied to. So we've been lied to about what's going on because that's the official word. So, but out of the Roswell crash, this was something Philip J. Corso was a colonel who went to the Roswell crash and said, there's been direct developments of technology from the crash site. And maybe it wasn't actually a crash. Maybe those vehicles were put down on purpose so we can develop technology. See, we're not getting answers because the government's not telling us what's going on. Why don't they just lay it all out and say, this is what's happening, folks? But they won't do that because it's too much to handle for us, maybe. So this guy wrote a very important, he worked for the CIA, and he created this memorandum to J. Edgar Hoover. And if you look at this is 1950. This was not about Roswell, it was about the Aztec crash. He says the Air Force investigated 3 so-called flying saucers. That's what they were called back in 1947, flying saucers. And this is in an FBI document here. The FBI was upset that this was the most looked at article on their website. They said, oh, that's my spaceship calling. It's my people calling me. I'll tell them, they'll pick me up later. You know, so, you know, I just planned.
That's the best ring I've ever heard.
So that's my UFO ring. So 3 craft carry 3 bodies of human shape, 3 feet tall. This is what they call a typical gray alien. Small, big heads, black bodysuit that looks like. So I don't know if that's true, but that seems to be the popular report of who's here. And supposedly these bodies were shipped to the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, where a lot of those early craft were. So that's just another thing. So 1947, then we had this huge flyover of the Capitol, 1952. And this was undeniable that something was happening. And this was on the front cover of Life magazine. 1952 is when the terminology UFO, flying saucers went to UFOs. They couldn't say flying saucers were flying over the Capitol. They had to say some unidentified flying objects. That made it more legitimate. Sorry. Okay, come on in, folks. And so 1952, that was another development. Truman came out and said, I can assure you that flying saucers, given they exist, are not connected to any power on Earth. I'm not sure what he meant by that, but, you know, UFOs are only unidentifiable because they live outside our perceptions. We have to develop a language and understanding to embrace the finer reality. So that's what I'm really, see, come on in. You looking for a chair? There's some right there. The understanding, if you keep something unidentified, how are you going to ever identify it? So we have to develop a language and a culture of contact that will integrate the phenomena into our everyday life. It's like a phenomenological approach. What is the phenomena? Is it real? Yes, it's real. How can we interact with it? And what does it mean? And how does it change our way of thinking? That's the kind of perspective I'm coming from. What is the cultural impact on human beings of this phenomena? This is the next level. This is something the government doesn't even dealing with because they don't know how to talk. They'd rather keep it anomalous. If you keep it anomalous, it's in this vague area. If you say, guess what, kids, we have company, then it's like, oh, there really is something here, we have something to deal with. Of course, like my mother would say, you won't have company until you clean up your room, and that's on us. So we've made a mess here of this planet. I mean, it's all our doing, so we can't expect someone to come and clean up our room for us, right? We have to clean up ourselves, and I think that's the big moment we're in. Will we get the planet together, or, you know, we'll have to just go on someplace else. So there's been a lot of interesting contact over the internet. This is a report from Arrow, which is now a kind of government debunking. It was originally created to acknowledge the UFOs at All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, but they haven't resolved anything. And they've concluded that most... Sorry, I'm going to just have to disconnect this. Or can you just take this and just
You want to throw it away?
yeah, go, no, just talk to that person, just to go
It
out.
sounds great, it adds to the, I love it.
Okay. Anyway, they've decided, the government organization decided that these sightings were ordinary objects or misidentification. That's the conclusion here. All right, let me just go back here. So the Air Force, this is on the Air Force's website. The headquarters in Wright-Patterson Air Force terminated night. There's this thing called Project Blue Book, which took 20 years of study in order to investigate the whole phenomenon. They've concluded, out of all the sightings, that there's really the value of the there is no threat to national security. They've never said, no, there's not something happening, there's nothing happening. They just said, don't worry about it, we got it handled. 4 minutes? I haven't even gotten to the good stuff.
Okay.
Why, what, do we have a time limit?
I thought 20, okay, no
Oh,
problem. Keep
no,
moving.
okay. No, I think that's, I just want to get to some good stuff, okay. This was part of a leaked government document by the DoD, that means Department of Defense, saying that there was a cognitive human interface. That's the second line down there. That's really what I want to focus on. There is an interface between the phenomena and us. Okay, good, James? Okay. So there's something happening. They are affecting us. When you see a UFO sight, and a couple of people, there are no innocent bystanders. If you've seen something, you were meant to see it. So this is an interactive phenomena, right, Laura? Have you seen stuff?
Oh, yeah.
So it's changed you, right? Didn't it open up your mind?
Yeah.
There you go. This is witness right there. Yeah, it changes us. So I think there's more and more sightings coming down the line. And the government is suddenly loosening up their grip on the phenomena. This was the headline in the New York Times that broke the story. So from Roswell, 1947 to 2017, there was no information. There was like little leaks of information. 2017 started the next phase of the phenomena with this headline on the front page of the New York Times: no longer Pentagon's UFO unit will make some findings public. That was a major, major event. And so what did they make public here? They made public this this video that came out. No, wait, no, not that. This one. This one. Okay.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west. Look at that thing, dude.
That's on radar. Well, not exactly radar. They can't explain it. There's a whole fleet of them. We're not seeing the fleet. So.
That's not LNS though, is it? It's not. It is LNS, man. Well, if there's another thing, it's rotated.
So. It's a bunch of different leaks.
You got moving target? No, I took an auto target. Oh, okay.
So these are all leaked from the Pentagon. All those videos came out from the Pentagon, like in early, saying, yes, there's something here, and we can't explain it. So where we're at now is these are the types of objects that have been seen: spheres and orbs, saucer-like things, ovals, triangles, boomerangs, and sometimes you get these organic shapes. Well, the closest we've gotten to an explanation is this movie that just came out called The Age of Disclosure. Have you heard about that movie? It is the most important piece of information about the phenomenon from insiders. So these are 34 government insiders. I'll just show a trailer for it. You can rent it online. But this is The Age of Disclosure right here. And this had Marco Rubio in it and a bunch of other people.
I knew this was breaking news for the front page of the New York Times.
We need to accept that we are not alone in the universe.
The federal government, all these years, has covered up everything. It's very, very bad for our country.
There had been visitation, crashed craft, material recovered.
It was not anything from this earth. All I could do is keep a mouth shut.
The public has a right to know.
There's a tremendous resistance. I guarantee every one of them knows that this event happened.
Hiding these dark secrets even from elected presidents.
They came running up here in such a panic. Sean can't make that up.
Declassified government documents confirm ongoing UFO incursions at nuclear weapons sites.
Are you saying that there's some evidence that still hasn't seen the light of day?
I'm saying most of it hasn't seen the light of day.
These things are real. They're here. This is happening now.
That's from a movie called The Phenomenon. But those are all government inside officials. And, well, what do we make of this? I mean, what can we do with this information? We could petition the government to come out with truth. I mean, we could have like meetings like this. We can, it's like they've made us sort of helpless. What do? We just wait for answers? No, we have to form citizens groups that really push for truth. This is how I think the Vietnam War stopped, because there were enough people in the street saying, we don't want to do this. This is how all social movements, black liberation, women's liberation, gay liberation, all that happened because people came together and said, we want the truth. We want to be treated equal. We want to be treated equal because right now there's a superior attitude among the inside governments that we're not allowed to know the nature of reality. This has to do with what is the nature of reality? What is it? What is it that we're dealing with? If we're being kept from the truth, then we're not getting the big picture, and we're living like in the Truman Show under this illusion that everything's okay and like just go along with business as usual. Isn't that right, Jonathan? You think?
Sounds good.
No. Okay. I mean, feel free to jump in and add anything. So that's really, I think, the situation here. And so, so we've gone from UFOs to UAP, from flying saucers to UFOs to UAPs, unexplained aerial phenomena. So because UFOs got such a kind of bad rap over the years, like it made it into science fiction, they had to rename it. They're also not calling them aliens anymore. They're calling them non-human intelligence. Human intelligence, sure. Which makes it, they're basically
Could be the
alien.
whole family. Everybody in your family.
Is non-human intelligence. You're right. You're right. So
Really?
the use and the change in terminology, I think, is a good thing because we went from object to phenomena, because these things are not just objects, they're having an effect. It's a phenomena exchange. There's something that's interacting with humans. This is what, in these documents, it says, cognitive human interface from the Department of Defense. So what's going on here? It has to do with us, the spectator. Now this is John Mack. John Mack was a Harvard psychiatrist who started to work with experiencers. And he said, these people are not crazy. They're having something real. And he boiled it down to this little phrase here, if I can play this. He said, let me see if I can. He said,
this is an outreach program from the cosmos to the consciously impaired. There seems to be some outreach program from the cosmos to the consciously impaired.
So that's basically us, the consciously impaired. We don't know what consciousness is. We're saying, well, what's consciousness? It must be the hard problem. I mean, scientists are still saying, how can consciousness come from, brain matter? Where does that come from? That's the, I just was at Deepak the other day, and he says, that's the hard question of science. How is this thing we are all having here, we're all having a conscious moment, hopefully we're all having that, what is that thing? Where does that come from? How do you explain that out of like tissues, brain tissues you can't explain it that way as an affect of matter. You have to say it is the foundation of matter. Consciousness, if you put it first, is not the hard problem. That's the easy suggestion. How does everything arise from consciousness, I think, is the real big question here. Not how does consciousness arise from matter, but how does matter arise from consciousness? So this guy, have you seen this guy, Jacob Barber? He is part of the government's program. When there was a crash sites anywhere, he was a helicopter pilot, and he was asked to pick up one of these crafts. So he's a whistleblower who finally came forward with his experience, and this testimony is a game changer, ladies and gentlemen. Have you seen this testimony? You're going to love it. Okay, no, this is a game changer. This is Jacob Barber.
This is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in my life. I'm about to share with you, so bear with me. So as I get closer to this pick site, I start feeling odd. I start feeling extremely emotional. And the closer I get, the more the emotion starts to overwhelm me. I feel this intense hybrid of sadness and happiness and beauty and song, and it was very disruptive to me because I had a very practical responsibility at the time to operate a helicopter in the mountains at night, and I began wondering what was wrong with me. It was late. Am I distressed? Am I tired? I don't know. But as I came over this object for the pick, there was this overwhelming sense of emotion. I felt like something connected with me. I felt like something had tuned in to me and my soul and was providing me some sense of guidance on what to do and how profound what I was doing was. And it was so overwhelming that I began to cry. And then I'm confused as to why I'm crying at the same time. And then do I abort the mission? So I just did my best to focus on my particular cues when doing this type of work. And I got the load hooked up and I began flying away. And once it was just me and that object in between the pick and the drop site, there's about 20 miles in between, I felt like something was inside of me. I felt like I was possessed by the most beautiful spirit I'd ever been possessed by. And was it loving? It was loving. But there was a sense of sadness at the same time. And it was a very feminine energy, I'll tell you that. It felt like the spirit of God, but not in any masculine sense. And it wasn't like a soul, it was like a frequency that I was connected with. And whatever that force was since that night, it has stayed with me. And as crazy as this sounds, it's what's guiding me now. And it's what's providing protection for me.
It's changed your life.
It's changed my life.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that like, that is a game changer. That is, he's a military guy breaking down on national television about this experience. So maybe they're not here to invade the planet. Maybe they're here to wake us up to this greater sense of feeling, consciousness, awakening, higher possibilities. This is my position. You can take the Defense Department and say, no, we have to protect you, but there hasn't been really, there's been some negative ET contact, but that's maybe just the person's interpretation. Imagine if you're in your house at night, in bed, the windows are closed, the doors are locked, there's no one there, and suddenly you're falling asleep, and then there's something at the foot of your bed that is just standing there looking at you. That is traumatizing. Whether they're friendly or not, that's not something you want to have. It's like, it is startling. It's like, and sometimes, I felt that presence once, but I wasn't afraid at the time. It's like, I thought it was a dream state. So a lot of us appears in dream states because they can come into our dream state. So this is really, I think, up to the experiencers to go forward and declare what's going on. So this is why I like Edgar Mitchell. So the experiencer of contact with non-human intelligence is the key that will open the understanding of what consciousness is. That's what I think. Encounters with UFOs can literally trigger and stimulate psychic abilities, telepathic, precognitive, even telekinetic, intuitive understanding. It increases your artistic value. Something happens to the human nervous system when you have these contacts, when you have this, something expands. They've looked at people's brains who have contact. There's part of the hypothalamus that seems to have increased white matter in there. It's a whole study. So, and this is the first people this happened to was a interracial couple called Betty and Barney Hill in New Hampshire. They didn't want to go public, but they saw this thing, and they were the first, what they call contactees, abductees. And there's actually a plaque on the side of the road where they actually, this is a pilgrimage site for people like me. This is a sign put up by the state of New Hampshire. Can you believe the state of New Hampshire saying, well, we're going to do this? And it says, on September 19 to 20, 1961, a Portsmouth couple, Betty and Barney Hill, their incident came after the Flintstones, Betty and Barney Hill. The Flintstones existed before Betty and Barney Hill became popular, so it wasn't some kind of trick. But they had a close encounter with an unidentified flying object, 2 hours, and lost time, because when you meet these beings, there's a compression and distortion of time. So if that happens to you, you're not going crazy, you're just involved with some UFO contact. There's a distortion in the field of time. And so this book was filed. There's actually, I think the first time I ever heard of this was reading Look magazine as a child, 1966. There was a front, and it's called Encounters with a UFO, on the front cover of Look magazine, Maine magazine, and it's like, wow, this might be true. So John Mack says, after all this, John Mack, the psychiatrist from Harvard, says,
if you begin to look at these encounters, which look very kind of, material, three-dimensional beings are here, like in Mel Brooks' 2000, you're like, oh, there's aliens here, there is some, it's very concrete, it's very physical, you can touch them, they're there. At the same time, what happens to these individuals when you go deeply into what's occurred, like Joe was referring to, something happens. If you go through the terror, they transform. They become, as Danny said, very concerned about the earth, related to the earth, and in a very different way, relating to other human beings in a very different way. So what, for me, started out as arguments trying to prove there really are abductions, really true, it's really aliens here, that's what Harvard got after me about. That isn't any longer what was interesting to me. What was interesting to me, yes, it's real, and we can have a philosophical discussion on the ontological status of the phenomenon, I'm sure. But what was more profound was those encounters led to a opening of consciousness to what has been called mystical or primary religious experience or expanded consciousness. We all have language for this. So it seemed like there was this linkage, but the central point is knowing. How do we know? What are our ways of knowing? How do we use our intuition, our whole selves, holistic knowing from the heart? That dimension of knowing, which is traditional knowing in almost every culture in the world. The sacred act of knowing,
the sacred act of knowing is really what I think we have to connect back to. I think if we really want to be part of the cosmos, and we already are, we've just been isolated by the limitations, the cultural conditioning, this box we've been put into by media, by government, by religion, by education. You have to think like that. You have to be like, you can't step outside the box unless you're an artist or a creator, and then you have to really work hard to be established. But most people stay within the box and listen to what they've been told, like, do this, get that. It's like there's no sense of this higher connection to something beyond the limitations of a social confine. but we are waking up, and that's why Whitley says we must never forget that contact was not initiated but by our ability to see what could not be seen and sense the unknown. This is why we have to keep pushing the envelope of the unknown. It was initiated by the growing richness of the human mind. That's the stage of evolution we're at now. How are we going to expand our consciousness about what happened? So let me just go right here. Wait, okay. All right. Let me just cut to the chase here. Okay. This is why I wrote this book, because this thing from Linda Moulton Howe. What if we get that mind-cracking headline, "We're not alone in the universe"? What does that mean for the population of the planet and for you and the history of civilization?
Finally, a truth. As simple as that. If you look back 5,000 years or 12,000 to Göbekli Tepe, and you look at the history of this planet, is demonstrably one in which Homo sapiens sapien is abused. Because from my point of view, if you are a civilization that evolves for 12,000 years, and you are always under the thumb of another intelligence that manipulates you, and that humans are never, ever talked to, communicated honestly, then we are today in the 21st century, 12,000 years later. We are an abused species. And part of this abused species is going out into the Milky Way galaxy and beyond without a single general human population knowing and it being told we're not alone.
Once we do know, what does that mean? What is that? How does that shift our reality?
That we are finally being given respect enough for the truth of something so huge. We're not only not alone in the universe, and that I would stress, there are other intelligences and they really care about us and they want us to get past this difficult time of lies, deception by other forces that have never told humans the truth. That is why we've got to have this revolutionary headline. And contact.
Oh, yes.
Making contact. This is, it is a valuable read for everybody.
Thank you. Why is it valuable?
Because I know all these people. I know how difficult it is to get to facts, to get to a pattern in which it will help other human beings who have never, ever read any of our other books, seen any of our other films, been to any of our conferences. We have got to start where the news on TV and radio and newspapers begin to understand and start reporting what I have been reporting for 42 years, feeling like I have been pushing a huge 1,000-pound boulder up a hill. Mm-hmm. We are at the point where it might finally reach the top. Once that boulder starts going, the whole planet changes in relationship to this universe and the understanding that there's probably an infinite number of universes, infinite number of timelines, infinite number of dimensions, and that we, without consciousness, we're tearing into other consciousnesses and dimensions in World War II with the atomic bomb.
And we could now solve those issues and move forward as a real intelligent civilization that's meeting these beings on an equal footing. That's what I feel.
That would be my prayer.
So it seems like the nuclear explosions are cutting into dimensional space, and there have been a lot of sightings over nuclear facilities, nuclear power plants, Fukushima. So that's one of the things. So we're getting to the conclusion here, but we need to push forward. This is Chuck Schumer trying to bring through what's called the UAP Disclosure Act in Congress. They've tried 3 years, but this is former, majority leader, and this is he's informed of this and he's trying to get this out to the public. This is what he said.
The United States government has gathered a great deal of information about UAPs over many decades, but has refused to share it with the American people. That is wrong, and additionally, it breeds mistrust. We've also been notified by multiple credible sources that information on UAPs has also been withheld from Congress, which, if true, is a violation of the laws requiring full notification to the legislative branch.
So he's pushing through the UAP disclosure amendment. So this is my well, then we got John Max saying again, we're dealing with a phenomenon which violates our sense of reality and operates in the gray area between the physical, objective world, and the subjective. This phenomenon will not yield its secrets until we discover other ways of knowing. So we cannot think of the phenomena in the normal terms of cause and effect, of this or that. We need to have a new cognitive paradigm for how we think about reality. That's really what I think comes down to. And some of the people that are making a difference in this psychic revolution are, well, the telepathy tapes. Have you heard the telepathy tapes? Well, they are making a real difference. I interviewed one of these telepathic autistic kids that use a letterboard, and I said, well, who are you? Why are you here? This guy, Alex Erasmus, I think this is very interesting. And he says, oh, wait, let me go to this one. Yeah.
T-I-E-S.
Sentient. S-O-U. Soul. O. Others. Lose.
T-H.
It's okay, take your time. You can take a M-E-M-O-R. Their memory to come and heal the world. Wow. T-H-A. That's the O
O
O L old
G O
God in me.
So this kid is so amazing to sit next to him. You get all these streams of consciousness coming into his head. And the whole time he's typing there, he's holding this phone where he's looking at this like kind of commercials on this iPhone. And yet he's then stops at it and he types out these really profound statements. And they are brilliant people with incredible gifts, and we've put them aside. And have everyone heard the telepathy tapes? Because they are really, have you heard the telepathy? They're really bring a whole new sense of what consciousness is. So this comes down to a consciousness revolution that we're now in. We're not involved with the UFO. It gives us hope to end our alienation of the unconscious. So basically, it comes down to, wait, let me just go back here to this. I'm almost finished there. Here. Some people say they can't be intelligent because they haven't attacked us. That's what's right. The true disclosure is not hidden in black projects or buried in but buried in our deep human psyche. We are a species afraid to meet ourselves in a larger mirror. It means confronting the boundaries we placed on our knowing. This is other ways of knowing. And we need to have the adventure that we long hope for and feared. A reorientation of the human spirit towards a vaster, more complex universe. So we've been taught through Darwinian evolution, all that, nothing wrong with evolution, but we're living in a dead universe. It's like, it's us, we are the miracles somehow that appear. Everything else, there couldn't be anything out there because we haven't seen it, so it can't be there. So basically, it's a dead universe out there, and like how life came together with protoplasm, with the lake, still can't explain, that's another hard question, how life actually began. But if you think, and I do, and some of my colleagues, that life is an emergent property of creation itself, it's emergent. It emerges out of the life force. I mean, the life itself is an emergent property of creation. So we will never be able to explain it because it already exists beyond us, and beyond. So if you go from that sense that life is emergent, then we need to know the truth, and a new science, new psychology, our new place in the universe based on the fact that we're not alone and we're part of this bigger consciousness field. So there's a movement called Citizens for Disclosure, and that's what I'm going to end with this, because this is where we can all become part of something. This comes as a result of the congressional hearings that just took place. There's been 3 with military, like the guy I showed you. He wasn't in one, but guys like that, coming forward and saying, okay, we need to know the truth so we can get to the next level of civilization and clean up the mess we've created here. You know, that's really what it comes down to. We have to do something about the state of the world, and it's up to each of us. So I've been working with this team for the Citizens for Disclosure. Here's a little clip from some of the hearings that just happened, and then my final statement here on the video. Oh, no. Here we go. Wait. Click here.
Good morning and welcome to the hearing regarding UAP disclosures. For too long, the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomena has been shrouded in secrecy, stigma, and in some cases, outright dismissal. Today, I want to state clearly that this is not science fiction or creating speculation. This is about national security, government accountability, and the American people's right to the truth. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and the nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Boeing contractors reported a massive glowing red square silently hovering over 2 missile defense sites. I talked to 5 shaken witnesses who described a massive triangular craft that hovered silently for about 45 seconds before shooting away at impossible speed.
A self-luminous, tic-tac-shaped object emerged from the ocean before linking up with 3 other similar objects.
These things are real. They can fly in formation, they're evasive, and they outperform any aircraft known to exist, including ours.
I saw a 100-foot equilateral triangle take off from near the NASA hangar on the base.
It's either a weapons program being reverse engineered by our governments or other governments, or not from here. Those are it.
There is something out there, and we should know as the people what it is.
Let this be the moment when America chooses courage over fear, transparency over secrecy, and progress over stagnation.
Yeah.
Let's show the world that our nation leads not only through strength, but through fearless pursuit of the truth.
That's an organization you can look up online, but there's another little part here that I'll end with, which is about the citizens' movements.
That's a good one.
I was actually at this.
My name's Nathan, sir.
If I can help, you holler at me.
Thank you, sir.
UFO and UAP disclosure is important to society because there's a change of perspective that needs to happen. The reality of what exists has never changed and will not change. There's a force, unfortunately, that is trying to withhold that information at this point, and we have to stand up and say no more.
To help bridge the gaps between people and to bring us closer together and remember that connectedness is what will literally get us out of the mess that we're in.
It has to do with transparency with the government, giving Congress the ability to perform proper oversight over both what the government is doing, several agencies, as well as what the private sector is doing.
We're not being told the truth, and we deserve the truth, not just as citizens of whatever country we're from, but also as citizens of the world and as collective humanity.
What's really remarkable is that we have been lied to as the American people for probably 70 years at least, since World War II.
I think disclosure, for what it means and what it stands for at the end of the day, is very important to everybody, basically. For me, fundamentally as a human being, I think we have a right to know.
We're entering into an inflection point, a tipping point, as a nation, as a species, and as a world.
UFO disclosure is part of our evolution of humanity, expanding our knowledge of the universe, it's what we've always done since the beginning of civilization. What's over that mountain? What happens if we plant this crop? What happens if we make this machine? What happens if we know there's more to the universe? It changes our scope of reality, which gives us more opportunities, which expand our
mental cognition to be more creative, more loving, more open, more resilient humans.
That's what it does, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Any questions? I have books, and we also have readers here. You can mill that.
So yeah, let me introduce. So we're open for reading now. We have great readers. We have Dewey, he was here from the Witch of Times Square. We have Laurie Perone, Laurie with the story. Alan specializes in alien UFO abduction. So
if you want one.
And then we have the great Carla James, the Wizard of Washington Square. So it's $30. $30, and pay the readers individually. So
and you can order food here just to support Caravan and Dreams for making this. But I'm interested in any feedback, any comments, any ideas, and are you convinced? I mean, how many people are? You question there or okay, anything.
Do you believe that we humans are like avatars, like designed by a high dimension?
I think we designed our own avatar experience here, and we're the ones we've been waiting for. Come on, you want to sit down?
Okay, let's stop the readings, guys.
But no, that's a good question. I mean, what people? Question here.
You had mentioned, Alan, about DOD, yes, not wanting to disclose the truth because they could not justify their budget on it.
I think so.
Do you think that there could be something like from a spiritual aspect here, meaning that if we were to recognize there are life on other planets, what would that do to people's spiritual and religious beliefs? It would turn it upside down.
I think there is an religious element to not disclosing. People have been threatened by Christian fundamentalists in Congress not to expose this secret because they thought they were demons, not other beings. So there is a very strict, fundamentalist control over some of this information. You guys want to sit down? Did you want to hear the lecture? I have it's all in my books. No, this book is a collection of essays by people I think, like Linda Moulton Howe, are some of the best in the field, people who really understand what's going on and want to help us go to another level. Here, I think to add to the end that the alien you meet might be, wait, this is some events I have for you. The alien you meet might be yourself. Miriam, you missed my best picture.
Excuse me.
I said the alien you meet might be yourself.
Excuse me, that was what I was using as the cover of my next T line.
What was?
That picture.
Oh, really? Alien? Okay.
That's why I'm here.
All right.
My next T line is called The Alien.
Miriam has a great tea line. I think she's going to sell some here. But order food so we can make ourselves welcome here. You know, and I mean, how many people now or how many people believe in you? I mean, we all do, right? How many people don't? Because you'd have to leave if you did. No, it's okay. We're open-minded here. But no, I mean, it's obvious to me something's happening. And these great readers will help you understand that. Here, great psychic readers. Oh, you had a question?
Do you think we're starting war with the aliens?
No, I don't think
or,
so.
Or are we just, or are they here for a peace treaty? Like,
They're
these
here in a-
triangle formations, they could be welcoming, or they could be like, oh, if you attack us, we will attack you guys.
I think they have a technology so far beyond what we can even imagine that it's ridiculous to even shoot at them. Maybe they're actually here to help us. Maybe they're here because we're such a disturbance to our neighbors, you know? Like, actually, I live in this apartment right down the street. This guy was yelling at someone on the phone at 1:30 in the morning, woke me up and disturbed me because this guy was having a little violent fit. And we're this, violent planet. We're disturbing our neighbors through this vibration we're putting out there. So maybe that's one of the reasons they're here, calm us down and make us welcome to the rest of the universe, because consciousness is a vibrational field. And so we're interacting with each other all the time. We created a nice vibrational field here. Thank you. And,
let's start with the readings, though. Let's
start with the readings.
Because these guys came a long way. So
Scott,
anyway,
Well, to explain who you are, Scott.
Yeah, I'm Scott Harney. I'm from Esoteric Guides and Psychic.nyc, which is starting up pretty soon. And we've got 4 great readers here, so please So it's 15 minutes, $30. It's a great deal.
Do we
Get
need
some
to
good
sign
insights. No, just walk over. Yeah, yeah.
But we
just
can
grab a chair.
socialize and hang
Socialize,
out.
absolutely.
And you can ask
Get
me
some-
questions privately.
Yeah,
or,
and Alan, you're going to give readings too,
I
so.
read. I have some books for sale. But this is an ongoing thing. But thank you all for listening, and we'll do more of these. Thank you. Applause. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it makes sense, right? Okay, I won't keep talking. Scott wants
No,
to.
people should be able to read. I mean, once you read from
Yeah,
the
I'll
site,
sit
you
down.
can read. Yeah, cool.
Are you?
Okay, read out of the way. Let me put a chair here.
That's good. Yeah.